All right. Coming up next, we have 720 Degrees with SCXCR.
Hello, everybody. This is 720 Degrees. It was an arcade game, and it got ported to many, many consoles. This is not the best port, but it's not the worst port, and I'll explain more of that as we go along. So, 3, 2, 1, go. So, 720, you're basically a skate kid doing a bunch of tricks, doing a bunch of events. There are 4 events divided up into 4 classes. And once you complete all 4 of those classes and all the events in them, you are done with the run. Now, the NES version loops endlessly on class 4, but since the arcade version ends after the 4th class, that's just when we say that the run ends. It is actually possible to just keep going with this game and find all the rollover values for everything, and the game just becomes impossible to finish. So, in order to complete all the events, you need event tickets. And you get those event tickets by hitting certain point thresholds. You start the game with 3, and then you have to earn the other 13 to be able to finish the run. That means we need to get a total of 125,000 points over the course of the entire run. Now, you might be looking at how many points I get per trick and wondering how that is supposed to be possible. And we'll get to that later. For now, I'm following a very tight path. The path was actually partially influenced by another runner named Old School McFly, who just decided to throw caution to the wind and take the riskiest possible path through several parts of this level, and I've adapted that since. Also, you're going to notice that I'll do jump spins on the way to every stage. That is just to maximize the amount of points that I get. You start off getting 100 points per trick, and in this game, jumping over water counts as a trick. And if you do things like jump spin over water, that counts as an extra 100 points. And I have to be careful here. Okay, good. So I just call that guy Pepsi Man. There is a mechanic in this game where you can knock down pedestrians, and that will give you some extra. Oh no. So that's one of the reasons this isn't a great port of this game, is sometimes the physics just go completely out the window and it'll launch you into the water on this event. Also, it'll misread your inputs, so it'll think, like you'll do the input for 1 spin and it'll think, oh, you want to do 8. And then you just wipe out. So one thing I am trying to do with some of these events is not meddle in them. Like you saw me just completely give up on slalom entirely. There's going to be events later where I don't really do much, and that's because it's a way to save time. So after every event, if you qualify for a medal, which is what that gauge in the upper right is, you will earn a certain amount of money, which you're supposed to use to buy equipment to help you skate better. But the shops in this version of the game are so far out of the way that it's really not worth going for them. Also, some of the equipment flat out doesn't work on this version. Like, there's supposed to be a board that helps you go faster, and you go the same speed. So now we're in class 2. All the tricks are going to do 200 points. And that's going to be a pattern that goes throughout this run. Class 3, you got 300 points per trick. Class 4, you get 400. And I guess I should talk about the actual event. So this is ramp, aka half pipe. You can tell the person who did this didn't really know skateboarding terms. Anyway, I have a very set pattern of tricks that I use, so that I will end up on the left side of the half pipe right as time runs out. And I think I did it too early. Yep. So this is what happens if you end too early, and it costs you a few seconds every time you mess it up. As long as the clock will hit 0 before he lands on the other side of the ramp, you'll finish the event early. And your bonus points in that event are determined by how many tricks you land. Now, as for slalom, I guess I should explain why I'm not doing this at all, which is it takes a long time, and the points that you earn for the slalom flat out aren't worth it. Also, the metal gauge starts really low and the event ends when it drains completely. So by doing this, you can end up saving like 15, 20 seconds over the course of the run. Because you're also skipping the cash bonus thing. All right, there are also cars in this game that can run you down, but with the path that we end up taking, we're not going to see any of them. Now it's actually a little tricky trying to go over the water at some points because another thing about this game is sometimes it doesn't realize water is water. So sometimes you will just fly over the water, like ride over it, and nothing will happen. And sometimes the game will just magnetize you to the water, which is why I don't go too far to the top of this event. Also, bonus in this one is determined by how much time is left, so it's important to get through that one as fast as possible. Now, I did medal in the jump event the first couple of times just because it's not, oh no, don't touch that. It's not possible to avoid medaling in jump without straight up crashing, which that just ends up wasting time anyway. So you might have noticed that the map for jump was a little different. The map for downhill is going to be a little different too. These maps change as the classes go up, and if you get really good at this, you can get Skate Kid almost all the way to the bottom of the screen if you just know what's coming. Now, the event for downhill only has a couple different maps, so Class 3 and Class 4 will end up being exactly the same. Now, this is where I need to pay attention to my score, because as you can see, we don't have an event ticket yet. So I may be able to get it on the way there. Yes, I did. Just for insurance, I'm going to do a couple extra. Now, ramp changes from Class 3 on because you have 10 fewer seconds, which means I need to change up my timing for this event and hold these for almost as long as possible. If you hold them too long or the game just doesn't recognize your inputs, you will fall to the bottom and have to start again, and there will be a period where you just flat out cannot do this trick, which really throws the timing off. But we got it that time. So I should be okay on points from this point onward, at least for this class. So we're going to skip the slalom again. Also, if you're too close to the curb when you try going through that section, you'll launch higher in the air, but you'll get less distance, so you'll just end up dropping in the water. Speaking of dropping in the water, because I can.
Do we have a moment to read off a quick donation?
Absolutely.
$25 donation from Anonymous. It says, thanks, SCXCR.
I don't know what I did, but you're welcome. Oh, that's an annoying thing too. After a certain amount of tricks, he will do this like celebratory hop in the air, and when that happens, you completely lose control of him. Now, it is possible to interrupt that by like going off a curb or immediately hitting ollie, but if you don't do it right away, then you're just gonna have to deal with it. So the jump event now, I am not going to do any more tricks. And by tricks, I mean spins. Because from this point on, you can avoid getting a medal in jump entirely, which gets rid of the cash readout and saves you a few seconds. Now there's something that could happen here, which, no. So I'm trying to avoid that map tile. If you hit that, it completely removes you from the game and shows an overworld map, and then it has to load back into the regular world. Oh, I don't have enough for a ticket. Okay, that's unfortunate. So yeah, every time you hit a map tile, it wastes about, I want to say 6 seconds-ish. Okay, there's an extra curve on this map. If you try playing that exactly the same as the one before it, you'll realize that that curve is actually a little bit longer. So if you try cutting it too tight, you'll just fall in the water. But we are on to the final class for this, and I am probably going to have to do a bit of point farming because some of my bonus point totals were a little bit low. Oh yeah, we are way behind on this, but good news is we get 400 points per trick, so this shouldn't be too much of a delay. There we go. Okay, just got it. I'm pleasantly surprised that he didn't bail on any of those hand plants. But the good news is, once you get ramp out of the way, you basically don't have to worry about points for the rest of the run, just as long as you do a few jump spins along the way. Which means we've gone this entire run without doing any of the slalom events. Okay, and now by doing that, yeah, you can see we're at like 116,000 points right now. 4 points for jump spin. There is 0 pressure as far as getting tickets at this point. It's just about not wiping out for no reason. Oh, and the words skate or die were flashing at the top of the screen. If you take too long in between stages, a swarm of bees chases you down and stings you to death. Which we may or may not see later. Oh, so that slide that he did, he's trying to do the hop animation, but for whatever reason it doesn't play in this event. So instead he just power slides for no apparent reason. And by doing a couple spins, oh, this is another thing. Very glad it didn't happen during this run, but sometimes the ramps forget that they're ramps. So you just get no air and you fall straight in the water. Okay, so this is the final event. Time will be coming up once the final skateboard graphic disappears. And I forgot where I was on the map. He'll be fine. Okay, so time will be in now. So just for reference, the record in this game, which is where everything goes as planned, which things rarely do in this game, is 12:32. And the only other person who's gotten under 13 minutes in this is Old School McFly. And this is what happens if you land a trick right as you run into the fence. But I got to do a shout out to, you get 2 lives, but we're not going to do that. Never mind, we will. I want to see him get stung again. So shout outs to Darth Tyrael85, who helped come up with a jump spin method in this game that is much more consistent and the game doesn't misread as often. Old School McFly, who helped with the pathing for this. Green Mixtape, who kind of started the ball rolling on 720 runs in general. And also Chivalry, who is just flat out awesome at the arcade version of this game. But that is going to do it for me. Thanks Buckeye Speed Bash for showing this game, and I want to see him get stung again. if we have time for that. Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you.